The world saw fourth place. But what no one showed you was a masterpiece of race management and precision. At 40 years old, Lewis Hamilton turned a chaotic weekend into a lesson in control. In Austin, with a Ferrari that refused to cooperate, he created order out of chaos. This is the race that proved even without a win, Lewis Hamilton remains the benchmark of Formula One greatness. From Friday morning, the tone was clear. Ferrari were in trouble. The SF-25, promising on paper, was unpredictable in reality. In free practice, the car looked sharp, responsive, agile, confident through the fast S's of Sector 1. But as temperatures climbed, balance disappeared. The rear started to slide, the grip melted away, and the car's rhythm collapsed. "It just fell off from us," Hamilton said after sprint qualifying. That phrase would echo all weekend. The team looked for answers in the data, in the weather, in the tires. Hamilton looked for them inside the car. Because that's what he does. He feels his way to solutions that sensors can't see. Saturday brought the first glimpse of brilliance. In the sprint, chaos erupted in turn one, cars colliding, carbon flying, and out of the smoke came Hamilton unscathed. His awareness was unreal, almost instinctive. While others reacted, he anticipated. He avoided contact by millimeters, threading through the carnage like it was choreography. He finished fourth with a car that didn't deserve to be there. That was the first sign that, even in the unpredictable Ferrari, his Racekraft still lived in another dimension. You could sense it in the timing, in the composure, in the quiet control over everything happening around him. By the time the main qualifying arrived, the transformation was visible. Hamilton had reset the tone of the garage. Where there had been panic, there was calm. He told the team, "Let's communicate better. Let's stay composed." Those weren't just words, they were leadership in motion. Ferrari changed their approach. They slowed the prep laps, they stabilized tire temperatures, and suddenly the car worked. P5 on the grid, just 4/10 behind Verstappen. It wasn't pole, but it was a moral victory, the product of experience and clarity under pressure. He didn't just drive the car, he guided the entire operation. Sunday, the air shimmered with heat. The crowd roared. The lights went out, and from the first corner, it was obvious that Hamilton's race wasn't going to be about attack, but endurance. The SF-25 lacked the pace to challenge the top three, yet Lewis found a rhythm that no one else could match. While others struggled with degradation, he managed it lap after lap with metronomic precision. No lockups, no panic, no wasted movement, just a driver in total command of his craft. The telemetry later showed he was lifting 50 meters before breaking points to control temperatures and fuel, invisible sacrifices that bought him survival in the final laps. From the outside, Ferrari arrived in Austin with quiet confidence. The simulations looked promising, the straight-line speed was competitive, and the upgraded floor package seemed to have solved some of the balance issues that haunted them earlier in the season. But as soon as the car hit the asphalt on Friday morning, the optimism began to fade. The SF-25 looked unsettled, twitchy on turn-in, unstable on throttle, nervous through the high-speed corners that defined the first sector at Circuit of the Americas. For a team like Ferrari, the word inconsistency is a curse, and that word became the theme of their weekend. Lewis Hamilton felt it immediately. From the first push lap in free practice, he could tell the balance was off. The front end bit too hard while the rear slid unpredictably, especially through the long double apex corners like turns 16, 17, and 18. He didn't complain. He didn't raise his voice. Instead, he began to gather data not from sensors but from feel. Lap after lap, he built a mental map of what the car was doing wrong. When he came on the radio, his feedback wasn't emotional, it was surgical. Rear instability on entry. It's temperature sensitive. Let's open up the diff on braking. That's Hamilton at his best, diagnosing problems as if he's engineering the car from the cockpit. Ferrari's engineers looked confused. The numbers on the screens didn't match the behavior on track. According to telemetry, the setup should have been stable, but it wasn't. The rear end danced under power, the balance shifted with each temperature change, and the team couldn't explain why. The Texas heat only made things worse. Track temperature hit 50 degrees Celsius, and tire degradation spiked across both cars. Where others vented frustration, Hamilton went quiet. That's always the sign. When he goes silent, he's thinking, recalibrating, working the problem from inside out. Then came sprint qualifying, and the situation collapsed completely. The car lost almost a full second of pace compared to the morning session. On the radio, Hamilton said just 6 words that summed up the confusion of the entire team. The car just fell off from us. It wasn't anger. It was pure disbelief. The grip had vanished. The setup that worked hours earlier had turned to dust. Every lap, the car slid more, overheated faster, and resisted every adjustment. And when Ferrari combed through the data, they still couldn't find a single mechanical reason. It was one of those weekends where the numbers lied, and only instinct could save them. Hamilton finished sprint qualifying outside the top 8, a position that would have crushed the spirit of most drivers. But that's never been his way. After climbing out of the car, he didn't storm into the garage or point fingers. He stayed with the engineers. He asked questions. What changed in track temp? What about crosswind intensity? Was the aero map consistent? He was searching for the small detail that everyone else missed. And while the team tried to drown in data, he found the answer in simplicity. The balance wasn't gone, it had moved. The car wasn't broken, it was misunderstood. On Saturday morning, before the sprint, Hamilton made a decision. He told his race engineer, Riccardo Adami, to revert to a hybrid setup, one that combined Friday's high downforce trim with a slightly stiffer front suspension. It wasn't the computer's choice, it was his. Let's make it predictable, he said. I'll handle the rest. That single call changed the course of Ferrari's weekend. In the sprint race, as chaos exploded in turn 1, Alonso tagged. McLaren's colliding Hamilton read it like a chess move, drifting wide to the outer line and escaping unscathed. From 8th to 4th in 2 corners, not because he was faster, but because he was smarter. That drive did more than recover positions, it restored confidence. Ferrari's engineers began to see what Hamilton already knew, that the SF-25 was fast, but fragile, a car that needed to be driven with patience, not aggression. And Hamilton, with his calm tone and disciplined approach, began to steady the entire team. When others panicked, he simplified the chaos. After the sprint, he told the media, "We were so slow, man." But behind that short statement was the truth. He already knew how to fix it. He wasn't frustrated. He was preparing. By the time the main qualifying session arrived that afternoon, the energy in the Ferrari garage had shifted. Hamilton didn't touch the setup again. He didn't overthink it. He just asked for smoother communication, better tire preparation, and calmness from the pit wall. The result? 5th place on the grid, just 4/10 off Verstappen's pole. That may not sound extraordinary, but after the chaos of Friday, it was monumental. Ferrari didn't suddenly find speed. Hamilton extracted it. Through composure, leadership, and pure understanding of the machine beneath him, he had turned a disaster into a foundation for one of the most intelligent races of his career. Sunday, the heat over Austin shimmered like a mirage, and the race was shaping up to be brutal, not because of the rivals, but because of the conditions. For most of the grid, this was going to be a battle against tire wear, overheating, and survival. For Lewis Hamilton, it was going to be something else entirely, an exercise in control. When the lights went out, the Ferrari launched cleanly, 5th on the grid, slotting between Norris and Russell. No unnecessary risks, no wheel spin, no chaos. Just calm precision. From that very first corner, you could tell this was going to be one of those Hamilton races. The kind where he makes the impossible look routine. From the opening lap, his voice on the radio was steady. "Temps are high, but manageable," he reported. Those words meant more than they sounded. Managing heat in Austin is an art. Brake temperatures, tire surface heat, and even cockpit airflow all feed into performance. Hamilton wasn't just aware of it, he was orchestrating it. Every lap, he lifted the throttle 50 meters early into turn 12. Every corner exit was measured, and every acceleration was calculated to keep the rear tires alive. While others were driving on instinct, he was driving on intelligence. That's the essence of his racing. He doesn't attack the car, he communicates with it. By lap 10, Ferrari's race engineers began to see something remarkable in the data. Despite running a slower overall pace, Hamilton's tire degradation was the lowest of the entire top 6. His lap times barely moved a rhythm within 3/10 every single lap. That's not luck, that's physics applied through feel. The SF-25, notorious for destroying its rears, was suddenly balanced. And it wasn't because of setup, it was because of him. The way he modulated throttle input through the long right-handers, the way he shifted gears mid-corner to avoid spikes in torque, these are details invisible to fans, but they define the difference between a top 5 finish and a DNF. Then came the lift and coast phase, the part no one saw. Around lap 20, Ferrari instructed Hamilton to start saving fuel and energy. Normally, that's when drivers lose rhythm, when lap times fluctuate. But Lewis didn't. He adapted instantly. He adjusted his braking points to recover energy through the MGUK while simultaneously keeping tire temperatures under control. The telemetry after the race showed that he was recovering nearly 10% more hybrid energy than Leclerc during the same phase, a staggering difference in efficiency. That's why Hamilton's races always look deceptively calm, because he turns complex systems into muscle memory. He drives with the precision of a pilot balancing an aircraft in turbulence. The pit stop came right on cue. Lap 31, 2.6 seconds. No mistakes. Ferrari fitted hard tires, and Hamilton emerged in clean air, just ahead of Piastri. From that moment, it wasn't about chasing the podium, it was about endurance. The hard compound wasn't the faster tire, but was the one that could survive. And in Hamilton's hands, that meant consistency. For the next 30 laps, he ran within half a second of Leclerc's times, even though the two were on entirely different setups. Every braking zone was identical, every gear shift perfectly timed. When the team told him to cool the car, he did it without losing pace. That's something only Hamilton can do, adapt his driving to protect the machine while staying competitive.